Good evening. I'm Maya Haskawa, and I am the Vice Chair of the Development Review Board, and it is 7 o'clock, and I'm calling the meeting to order. First of all, we're going to have some motions for continuances, but in case there are people in the audience who are here to talk about or hear about two of the projects that are asking for continuances, just let me tell you, we're not hearing them tonight. They are Ms. Pendlebury for Natural Child School and Jason Evers Construction. So we will not be hearing either of those tonight. They will be held at our next meeting. Okay, so if you were here for them, you can feel free to leave. Okay. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. Broadly, this means that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties, and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the Environmental Court, the court will not take or consider additional evidence at its hearing, but will look at the evidence from our hearings, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the finding and decision of this board. Only interested persons that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board, so I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at this hearing. Since we are on the record, we're going to ask that you affirm your testimony be truthful. So would applicants and anyone wishing to speak to an application please stand and affirm the following. If you're going to speak and you want what you say to be counted, I have to swear you in. Okay? So I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalty of perjury. I do. Okay. Applicants require, sit down. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed. That is 4 votes out of 7. If we do not have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was, when was it?
January 22.
22nd. Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved unanimously. Was the meeting properly warned?
Yes, it was.
Are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications on any of the applications?
Yes. And I'll be recusing myself.
Okay. Okay.
Do you
So-
want to declare why you're recusing yourself?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not.
just asking.
Okay, we have two requests for continuance. 2020-14, Mara Pendlebury for the Natural Child School LLC has requested a continuance until April 15th.
Yeah.
That's our next scheduled meeting?
That's our next scheduled
Okay.
meeting.
I thought it was the third Wednesday.
It turns out the 15th is the third Wednesday.
Oh, that's right.
April 1st is the
I
first.
missed the one,
Okay,
yeah, whatever.
Okay, April 15th. Can I have a motion to agree to the continuance?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the second one that's requested a continuance is 2020-11. Jason Evans Construction Incorporated for EDW Realty Incorporated. And they've also requested a continuance to April 15th. Can I have a motion to continue 2020-11?
Move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You need to leave?
Do I need to
No,
stay?
but if you wanted to leave. Okay, so now we move to application 2019-108. Douglas, pronounce your last name for me. Beachel, for Carol's Restaurant Group. Wanna come sit at the table? No,
Do we want a
he needs an easel.
easel?
I can hold it
It'll
because
probably be easier for the
Pick up
camera.
on the camera.
For your
Okay.
TV.
Brian, is there one that's on the end? Take one on the end. Oh, these all projectors.
I think that one's an easel.
Which one? Oh,
The
yes.
gold one.
Anyone's qualified to put this together.
Oh, and we'll let you do it in.
Turn it around.
Turn it around.
Put the little thing on the end.
There you go.
Seems pretty freestanding.
They getting this?
Just for one of your hooks. There you
Is
You
go.
this
have to have humor, right?
Is this a good angle for the board and the camera?
Well, we've got these.
We've got
We have-
pictures.
we
So.
have-
I like looking at that.
Okay, can you explain the project?
yeah, I'll stand.
Yeah.
We'll slide it back a little bit.
Yeah, let's slide it back.
All right, so again, I'm Doug Beachel, representative of Carol's Restaurant Group. We're the franchisee of this existing Burger King that we own.
Wait,
We were in front of this board in August 21st of last year, and we got our approval in order to proceed with sort of phase one of the construction of this, which was ultimately the remodel and some of the parking lot work. Phase two consisted of replacing the sidewalk and then really permitting through DOT the necessary permits in order to do that. I think that was it in terms of the two different phases, in terms of what was actually included.
Yeah, I think we agreed that we would hear the sidewalk later after
Yeah, so.
we talked to DOT.
So we were able to open before the end of the year, which was our goal, and things have been great. However, we still need to obviously finish all kinds of work. We got to repave the parking lot, do all the landscaping, modify the curbs and the entrances. So after our meeting here, we applied to VDOT for the sidewalk permit. Our goal and our contingent approval was on replacing that sidewalk along the entire frontage on Canal Street. They wanted to come out and do a site visit. So we did, I think this was in January. Brian met us out there. We had 2 representatives from DOT. They had some suggestions on altering the approved plan in terms of curbing. It's sort of hard to see, but maybe I can just outline it. The first entrance coming towards the Burger King past the gas station, the original curbing is sort of a narrow finger that's out to out here. We had proposed widening the island and just bringing it back in and landscaping it. They've asked us to bring it back approximately 8.5 to 9 feet to allow for easier right-hand turns into the site, especially for truck traffic. So that was one of the requests. The other was the center island here where our monument sign is. We had a striped sort of area just defining and protecting it. It was basically painted asphalt. They asked for a mountable curb, so that would further define that. So just a curb that could be rolled over by vehicles. And then I think originally it was asphalt, and then we decided we would like to make it landscaped or lawn material or grass, or turf or sod. So adding that triangular island as a mountable curb with landscaping feature takes down on some of the sort of the asphalt that was out there. And the third request was this exit out. This curb was out further again, and they just had us reduce it approximately 8 feet. Just bring it out so right turns out are a little bit easier. Our original plan, after standing there watching traffic for an hour, it had vehicles coming in this side, going out the other side. I don't know why we ever did that. I think it was just sort of what was existing. So I frankly don't know why you presented it that way. So this configuration, as far as I'm concerned, by having vehicular traffic coming in this side, going out that side, with a little bit more radius on the curbs, I think allows for a little safer vehicular ingress and egress of the site. Our original plan, I think, had the sidewalk that approaches the front of the store over a couple more feet. I'm not sure on that one. Where it is now, is where it shows on this. So it kept it a little bit off of the center of the store. So really those were and they wanted us to widen this exit from the drive-thru to line up with the building width. Their lane width was, I think the requirement was 18 feet, and we were able to get 16 feet 7 inches by aligning it to the side of the building, so it's a straight shot versus it coming out and just tapering in a little bit. That curve is now in where it was originally contemplated. We would move it over if we were able to proceed after discussing it with this board. We modified some of our landscaping plan just to accommodate the islands changing sizes. And that plan, sheet 2, is just reflected here. So we ended up losing a parking space on the front just because we did a wider island than what's currently there. I think all in all, we lost 11 spaces, but that allowed us to put in some of the parking lot features with landscaping and ADA accessible parking spaces. That didn't change. None of the parking changed from the original plan that was approved. So really, the alterations are DOT driven with widening the entrance and exit for easier ingress and egress, right in, right out, basically. And the widening of this exit lane from the drive-through.
And you're eliminating that parking space right near the entrance?
Yeah, there was one right here.
Yeah.
And we're eliminating that just because the island that's in there now is probably 1.5 feet wide, and it's just never gonna.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
And Brian, you tell me if I'm wrong. My understanding is there's a memo from Andrew in the planning office. Is that correct?
Hmm.
And the way I'm reading that memo, have they seen this memo?
I'm not sure.
Or is this an internal memo
No, it's a memo for you.
for us? We're getting from the planning department, I believe, I'll point at this, but the way I'm reading it is, you're saying when you increased that, you lost a parking spot?
Yes.
It sounds like from our planning department, folks, if I'm reading that memo right, is they're recommending getting rid of that spot. And I think the idea is, the concern is that a person parked here in the, let's say they backed up, that there could be a concern. That's how I'm reading the memo from our
It says
planning
the
department.
first parking space to the right
Hmm.
when entering from the east on Canal Street.
Yeah.
And
And that's the one that you're proposing to eliminate, is that
Hmm.
correct?
Well, what
No,
he's
they
saying
already-
is they've already eliminated one, and the way I'm reading from Andrew Gruminski, who's here in our planning office, their memo says staff is recommending removing this parking space for safety purposes. And I can sort of visualize, what I think that decision
He
is.
did.
So it'll be like this then.
Well, I think
I think
I think that is the one that they're
That's what
eliminating.
no,
It's the-
it's additional if you
If
look.
you take a look at the memo and
Take a
compare
look
it
at
to
this
what it's Douglas,
Yes. Yep.
Douglas is showing us, it seems that our planning technician is recommending.
It's the planning department on behalf of the town that's recommending that.
Okay,
space be
yes, I'm
removed.
sorry, I used the wrong terminology.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I think it makes
Okay.
sense.
I wanted to just, Madam Chair, do you mind if I ask a couple questions?
Go ahead.
You had mentioned a loss of 11 spaces. Is that from the original, when you sort of got the property?
Yes.
What was there, and then making it conform to your design?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And were you counting what you had to lose based on the DOT recommendations, or would that added up?
No. Well, yeah, we did. So based on the DOT recommendations, actually didn't change that parking count.
I see.
So it's still net
Okay.
11 lost spaces by adding, basically the other features, the charging station, and the ADA accessibility.
And for example, this board, following the recommendation of the planning department, essentially you would be losing 12 spaces overall.
Yeah.
But that's within.
Yeah, that's fine.
Within.
Actually, but it's somewhat overparked, probably at this point. So,
And then I just had a quick question, I don't know if you can answer, just so I can visualize what you've got up on there. What is the length of the lot here along the street? How much, do you know? I was looking for it probably,
it's probably,
did they give us a
Scale.
scale?
There are a lot of dimensions.
I was just curious as how much street frontage the lot is total, can sort of help me visualize a little bit.
I don't know that I have it defined on here, but certainly.
Didn't see a scale.
It is on, I think it is on this one, isn't it?
I believe
Just
it's
says
going to
the-
be 206 feet, 206.25 feet,
How much roughly?
206. Down here.
I think it's a little short of that, because that, I think, goes to the.
That's the back.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
other
the
side
back
of that
line.
would-
Okay, that gives me
KG.
The one thing that you had mentioned, one of the things that was on the memo was that we as a group should consider whether 2 access points to exit of the property would be given to the drive-through lane as a turnaround in front of the building. Is that what you were talking about, the turning around thing?
No, actually, I was talking originally just the entrance and exit here.
Okay.
We're a bit off. We did have this turn lane, or this return lane,
Right.
to allow people to access back in case the order's wrong. I think it was discussed in the field potentially on whether or not we eliminate this drive-through exit. I don't know on that one.
Okay, I mean, this was a recommendation from them, so
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I-
It's just a
Yeah,
recommendation.
it's nice to
Right.
get people off
Yeah,
the site
right.
that
I
don't
was
have
just-
to come back, and it's also good to give them the option to get back in rather than having to pull on the street
Right.
and come back
Come
in.
back,
Right.
yeah.
W- With that widening of the entrance, it looks to me as if, I've seen parking lots before. People tend to use, when they want to leave, they'll leave whenever they want. And, or enter wherever they want, as the case may be. And I can envision somebody trying to take a right out of that out of that entrance to leave and going right into somebody else's trying to leave, coming out of the middle exit. With that being that wide, it's it seems as if it's 2 lanes.
Here
Don't
or here?
here, yeah, your entrance.
Your concern is someone would try and exit from there.
Well, yeah, it's, how wide is it? It must be, what, about 30, it's
I think
like,
it's 18 feet.
no,
Am
no,
I
no.
reading it
18
incorrectly?
18, this is 16.7, this is 20
It's
something.
No,
24.
here to here is
Okay.
actually, because these spaces are 18 feet deep, so really for scale purposes, it's almost 2 spaces in terms of
So-
width, so it's
So-
about 18 feet.
Well, you've got a dimension on here of 24 feet coming from the edge of that island over to the end of this island.
That's interesting.
So if you were to go diagonally, you're gonna be up to almost 30 feet wide.
Our biggest rationale for that, and that was DOT driven, was for trucks entering.
I understand, I mean, but, it's not like you're gonna have something that pops up and keeps people from exiting that. And to me, it looks like it's a 2-way street.
Yeah, so the new plan basically shows, so once this center island is in and the mountable curb is in, it'll much further define it. And it'll be landscaped in lawn. And then we'll have striping and parking lot arrows, entrance and exit. So as best we can to define in and out. And it's more of a natural in and out versus what it is now. I was just over there and somebody pulled in over here. So. I
They
think
do.
That's kind of the, once we get it established, right now it looks terrible.
Are you gonna have signage that says like one way or
Yeah,
this way?
typically
or-
we we do have an exit signage over here that's gonna move because of that road for the widening of the exit. Typically our sign packages have an entry and exit sign. I don't recall whether or not they're lit or not lit, depending on the municipality I'm in.
Well, I'm not sure, Michael, that they can do anything about it. I mean, if you look at the co-op, you're supposed to go in and go around.
Well, by,
People go in and go around the
Any way they
wrong
want.
way all the time, even though it's marked with arrows
well, let's,
and signage.
with Brian, you had mentioned in some of your writings here, the possibility of having, the 2 exits are closer together than what our,
Yeah, there's
than
a-
what our land use permits allow.
Yeah, that's right. So, to be clear, this is an existing developed site, so
Yeah.
what you're tasked with is bringing it into conformance with the regulations to the extent that's feasible. So you're considering feasibility rather than a strict interpretation of the code.
Right.
And I think the question was, if you have that turnaround and you can exit through the regular exit, do you need an exit for the drive-through? I think if I read the staff memo correctly, that was their question. And I can see why most people who go through the drive-through are gonna go straight out.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're having this discussion. Is it okay for me to weigh in on it? I saw that in the memo. The question is this exit needed? And I think my thought process was to certainly consider that and say maybe it isn't. But then I have memories. I grew up in this town. In a sense, it's always been like that. It sounds like when they did the initial proposal, having that turnaround seemed to be good customer service. God forbid your to-go order was screwed up. They actually made it safer for someone to sort of enter the building and go back. And I don't know about safety. It just seemed better access. Again, God forbid an accident happens, that an emergency vehicle could access. I kind of see it seems odd that there's two exits, but I see it actually as perhaps a little more safe with the two exits.
That's what I was
I would
thinking.
agree.
So I just wanted to bring that up so that we discuss this here, because the memo said we should certainly consider it. And that was my thought process. Like, it may actually, in my mind, be more safe with the two exits.
Yeah, how many cars do you want driving around the front?
Is there a way with signage that we can, that you might be able to keep people from exiting the entrance? Other than
No.
painting on the, other than painting a
giant
stripe
sign
on
that says, "Don't
an
go this
arrow
way"?
on the pavement that's not gonna be there or visible in the
I,
winter?
you know,
I would love to share an anecdote that happened just last week.
no.
No.
But no, it's very relevant to this. And it was the Preston lot on Flat Street, which clearly says entrance only and exit only. And I had to point out to someone I know who was headed to, I said, do you notice the sign says exit only? And this person said, oh my God, I never realized that. Now I know why people have been giving me dirty looks. And it was just clear, marked as day. Can we recommend in an approval that they paint a pointed arrow on both sides, the entrance and exit, just yet another visual? I would be curious as how you would respond to that if there was an arrow painted on the asphalt here at the entrance, pointing in, and an arrow pointed there, and if that may help.
That's what these arrows are.
Those represent the painted
Yeah,
asphalt.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's kind of the striping plan.
Okay.
So there's arrows here, arrows directing to the drive-through.
Okay.
There'll be a directing
Yeah,
through,
the-
around, and then two-way traffic on this section of it. I believe, I mean, right now, without any landscaping, with temporary concrete barriers that are protecting the sign, it's confusing. I think once you put in the installation of the landscaping, the curbing, just the entire lot repaving and cleaning, I think it'll be much more defined.
I'm just afraid that you're gonna be seeing an accident smack dab in the middle of that, between in front of the island that you're putting in with the mountable curb there, where people are gonna be wanting to leave the entrance and take a right, and they're gonna go right into the side of somebody that's trying to get back onto the highway, going out the exit.
Yeah, we can't dictate idiots who drive.
So in this case, we also can't dictate as the town what V-Trans finds acceptable.
Pardon me?
Yeah. Well,
In this case, we
V-Trans-
can't dictate as the town what V-Trans finds acceptable. This is actually part of V-Trans road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Having that entrance wider so
the front
trucks can get
sidewalk
in.
has,
We advocate really strongly that they allow a design that's more in keeping with the town's standards, which are more multi-purpose, pedestrian, car orientated, definitely narrower, and they were quite clear that that was unacceptable.
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of balancing what they're going to require and what's achievable,
Yeah.
bringing it into conformance
what
with
we
the
want
town.
to do. Can I ask a question about the sidewalk, and then I'll ask for comments from the people who are here? And the sidewalk is gonna extend all the way across the front?
Yes. Yeah, parallel, where it currently is in its deteriorated condition, along the entire frontage of the
Oh,
property.
that's nice.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question? It's either directed to the applicant or zoning administrator. Who makes the requirements for the construction of the sidewalk in terms of material and dimensions? Is that a DOT standard or Vermont Department of Transportation standard?
Public Works has a standard,
Okay.
so it's 5 feet, and I think it's 4 inches thick, or
And
it's really standard.
And I would ask, the applicant is familiar with what these standards are
Yeah.
and expects to?
Yes, so it'll be 5 feet and all the way across.
Yeah, it'll be outlined in the V-Trans permit, so what the specs are.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, so that, in terms of us as a board and approving it, we know that they have to follow the standard requirements to make a sidewalk that is up to town standards.
Yeah, and I think actually the town will be a co-applicant with Carol's group for
Okay.
the sidewalk, because we might be obligated to take it over in the future.
Are there any questions from either of the people who are here? Any comments?
They can't, they didn't. They
Yeah,
didn't.
they did swear.
No, he didn't.
If I comment, I might open a can of
She
worms.
did not
Excuse me.
swear.
Did you swear in?
No, she didn't.
We did.
I
You
didn't.
swore, I see.
So you need to go to the microphone, identify yourself and where you are, where you live.
I'm Ann Dosberg, and I live at 11 Generous Street, and my property abuts the property of Burger King. And I've been through the drive-through, and I love it, and the original drive-through works very well, and if you could see the traffic that goes through there, that's the one that is used the most. The curved driveway, they may get used to later, but it does, to me, look like it needs a little altering so that people can turn to the right a little easier. There are other properties in Brattleboro that have that curve in front of their building, and they do not have the straight exit. So they already have to deal with incoming to turn, and it's up on Putney Road. I think they've done a beautiful job in a short amount of time, and I can't wait to see the rest of the property finished.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of the board?
I'm still, I guess I would like to ask the board if they had any other ideas or suggestions, if there was any way that, or any way that we might be able to try to restrict people from exiting the entrance. Or that you might be able to keep people from exiting.
Madam Chair, if I may speak to that?
Yes.
I feel pretty confident as a board member that the applicant has shown sort of due diligence in checking with the Vermont Department of Transportation and then following their recommendations and coming to us with their proposal. I'm willing to, once the conversation ends, I'm willing to put forward the motion that we would approve it as presented with the condition of removing that one extra parking spot based on the planning department recommendation. I might ask the woman who spoke if you had said that you might have a recommendation about, am I getting it correct, if a car is in the drive-through leaving, that you thought there might be some recommendation you would have to make the right turn a little better? And I didn't know if we should consider that. Did I hear you correctly on that?
It's just the curve. It curves.
Do you mind going to the microphone? It's for the camera to pick it up so people at home can hear.
I told you it would be a can of worms.
No.
The existing turn to the left around the front of the building has a curve like this.
Okay.
But if you're exiting, you want that curve to go more to the right.
So,
Is this what we're talking about?
yeah, so currently where the red is where the curb is in. That was the approved plan showed
Okay.
that.
Right.
The DOT recommendation was to pull it back.
Okay.
So this revised plan has that, so it's a easier right out.
Does this to you, the new recommendation that comes from, does that seem to address the issue that you brought up?
I believe it does.
Okay.
I looked closely at it.
Okay. Well, I just thought you obviously came here to make a comment. I wanted to make sure we listened to it.
Thank you. I'm delighted with everything that they've done.
Okay.
Except that one thing.
Yep.
And the people using the drive-through are not familiar with the turn. They're
Okay.
using the old exit. They're using the original exit.
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone using it'll
Then-
happen, somebody will use it.
You mean to turn in front of the building?
Turn left in front of
Okay.
the building.
Because if we approve what the applicant has put there, then the old exit to the drive-through will continue to be utilized, and you're fine with that?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to understand it correctly.
Thank you.
So I,
Let me
oh,
ask
yeah.
you a question. So you have no trouble with there being an entrance and 2 exits?
No,
So just to go back to Michael, I feel confident as a board member that the applicant has done, I'm using the term due diligence if it's correct, and I have a certain amount of faith that the arrangement that they've set up, the entrances and the exits, are ideally, as the gentleman said, when the landscaping is completed, will certainly be better than what existed at that location prior. So that's my feeling, and I don't know if I can convince you of it, but that's where
Oh, no,
I
I'm
stand.
I'm just envisioning somebody coming up the drive-through,
Mm-hmm.
turning in front of the building,
Mm-hmm.
using that turnaround,
Mm-hmm.
and then deciding, checking their food, whatever, they're gonna be in this parking lot, they're gonna be in the parking lot,
Yep.
and then they're gonna keep
They
going
go
and
out
go
through
right out the
yeah,
entrance.
I think
And
as,
that's what, you're pushing them in that direction by this design.
well, I think as Katie says, we can't really regulate idiotic drivers, and I would hope that people are paying attention enough and will notice not only the signage, but the painted arrows that appear on the parking lot.
Right.
So that's why I feel, with what the applicant is presenting, I feel confident enough that they've done the due diligence, checked with the Vermont Department of Transportation, and have a pretty strong belief that it will be very clear with the signage. So I feel like it's met my standard, or I think they've done the best they can based on the existing location. So I'm willing, if you're up for it, I'm willing to put forward the motion.
I have one more question. The plantings across the front don't quite meet the requirement for street trees, but I would say that with the plantings they're gonna put on the island, I would say that we could substitute those for additional street trees. Does that make sense? Is that within the, in the regs? Can we do that?
Now, from what the gentleman has pointed out on that proposal, right, that's the proposed.
The island in the center, the new island,
The little triangle one?
the triangle.
Have these been added from the original proposal? Do you feel these mitigate the situation on the street?
No, I'm talking about the new island
Oh.
that's gonna be planted with the mountable curb.
Oh,
The triangle.
And the triangle and the sign.
So what they're proposing to do in that island is probably just to put hedges or something like that, or
The
whatever?
the island's 2 parts. So
Yeah,
there's
right.
the oval around the signage, and
Right.
that would be landscaped. And
Right,
that would have 2 street trees and then various other low hedges.
right,
The triangle portion is just proposed to be lawn, because
Right.
it's gonna get
Sightlines.
Whatever's in there is
Yeah,
here.
good.
Yeah,
Trees there.
keep the
That's
sightlines
fine.
open.
You don't want to put trees there.
No, they're planting trees there.
No, but they're not.
See, they do have a sign here.
Yeah, that's a, what did you refer to the sign that will sit in the
There's
triangle?
an entrance
That,
sign.
that right there is a monument sign.
Monument
That's our
sign.
VK
Right.
Burger
No,
sign.
but to the left of that,
Yeah, there is.
there is
some
a
signage,
proposed directional sign location.
okay,
typical.
right there. Yep. That would be the entrance. There'd be an exit one here and
Mhm.
here
Mhm.
at both exits.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, may I ask a question of the applicant?
sure.
This is where the chair, so I learned things on this job. My understanding is that as a franchise, Burger King must have its own design standards, and you choose from a sort of recommended menu of how you would put signs up.
Yeah.
Okay, and so obviously, in the Burger King design standards, they'll have, this would be a good thing that says entrance only or exit only. Okay. I learned something. Should I put forward the motion?
For what?
Is there any more discussion? Anybody else have any
What are you
questions?
motioning?
I motion that we approve the
Oh.
we approve 2019-108, and then I'll ask the vice chair, make sure I didn't miss anything, but that with the condition that they remove that, immediate parking space beyond the one that they're losing, the sort of extra parking space based on the recommendation from the planning board. And Madam Chair, am I missing any other conditions that we want to put on that? Because then that would be my motion. But am I missing anything?
Well, I was gonna say the 5-foot sidewalk, but you're already gonna
Yeah,
do that.
Well,
so-
that's what's presented.
Yeah. So, okay, is there a second?
I'll say it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Mm.
You're approved.
Do we want to see if anyone's opposed, Madam
Oh,
Chair?
anybody opposed? And Ian's recused himself.
Is there any abstentions? Did
I'll
you?
abstain.
You're abstaining,
You're
okay.
abstaining.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he hadn't raised his hand for either the,
No,
Oh, I
for the
didn't-
A
I
or the
couldn't
nay.
see-
Oh, sorry.
I was looking that way, sorry. Okay,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
you do have 4 votes.
Mhm.
I was going to bring up in open session something before adjournment, which is congratulations to Ian Goodenow for being elected to the select board.
Yes.
Currently, you're an alternate member of the DRB. And I guess the question, if whether you want to speak to it or not, is whether you can still serve in this role
He-
after being elected select board.
No, Ian, I'm happy you brought it up. Yeah,
I don't
if
think so.
Brian, do we want to put it on the record what we discussed beforehand, or?
Sure.
Yeah. So, if you want to speak to it for a second, who you spoke to, and
Yeah, so it's very informal at this point. It was my understanding that Ian had to resign because of a conflict of interest. I didn't get that from the attorney, so I'm not sure how official it is or what that opinion is based on.
so I think that the only other thing I want to do is talk to Bob Fisher, the town's
Town attorney?
attorney,
Okay.
and confirm that. And if that's the case, then I will happily resign from my position as the alternate on the DRB.
Yeah, I would say it'd be sad to see you go,
I will also be sad to leave.
but I would say it only came up because of the boilerplate that comes at the beginning of every meeting that says the town is a party, or the town has the interest. I forget exactly how the boilerplate.
But he can recuse himself.
Yeah, I just,
I mean, if the town presents something and he's on the board, even if he's a select person, he could recuse himself.
Well, the town can appeal any decision you folks make.
Yeah.
it's just, it does put you in a situation where the DRB, you know what I mean? We're a creation of the town, right?
I think to not use up the
Okay.
board's time,
Yeah.
I think I've made myself pretty clear. I will just confirm with Bob Fisher, and then we'll happily take the recommendation, whatever that is.
I'm not trying to push you off the board.
No, but thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, just one last announcement. The March 25th meeting is going to be canceled because there are no
Right.
applications.
So the next one is in April.
Is the April
15th.
15th, yep.
And we know that those two applicants, we presume,
Okay,
will
I
not.
move that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.